So Nintendo just showed off Splatoon 3 single-player campaign mode during their Treehouse segment, and it was pretty cool. It was alright, you know, nothing super crazy. We did get some new information that I feel like maybe some of you guys have missed, and I'm going to try to go over everything here and talk about everything that they had to show, and just kind of, you know, have a casual talk with you guys about what I think of this campaign so far, and everything that is going to end up bringing to the table, and just kind of my verdict and final thoughts. So if you guys have anything you want to add and talk about, go ahead and talk about them down below, and I'll be sure to kind of even chat with some of you guys in the comments because I'm very excited about this game, and especially the single player. So let's talk about the world of Alterna. Alterna is this giant dome that you pretty much play as your hub world, and you can see the various levels in the background and more levels that you'll be able to go into. There's those same like kind of tea kettles that you can jump in and it'll take you straight to the level, but it looks like you can just kind of play around in all this world, and maybe there's some extra stuff that you can do this time. It looks like that could be the case. There's different buildings. It looks like you might be able to go in and stuff that you can do around Alterna. But the stages are pretty much set up the same way. You have these little kettles that you get to jump into, and it takes you straight into a level. And you can even see the symbols above the level show some type of design. I'm not really sure what that is, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that later on when they talk about, you know, the mission status and information and stuff, because it's given to you via some new organization or something. And once again, I'll talk about that when we get there. I think it's called O.R.C.A actually, which is interesting. But once again, when we get there, we'll dive into that a lot more. You see about 5 levels in the first area. They all have this same green symbol with a green arrow underneath them. I don't know if that means you completed it or if that's like a specific mission type based on that symbol or something. We know that we've seen levels based on Splatoon 1 and 2's campaigns and levels based on the missions, the O.R.C.A expansion. But once again, more on that when we get to that category. But yeah, this is kind of your hub world. Now, of course, they didn't go off showing the entire hub world or anything like that, but we might actually see our first look of the map. But before we get into that, there's one last thing I want to talk about. They showed what happens if you run into this goo. You actually turn into a mammalian yourself. Yeah, you turn into some type of fuzzy mammal, but it's just kind of like a game over kind of you got killed animation. But yeah, you can throw little buddy at it. It doesn't really show what Small Fry does. You know, I know we've seen in a couple reveal trailers that he actually just eats the goop and stuff and clears it out. I don't know if there's a cooldown or a little thing that you have to get for Small Fry to be able to do that, but there is a little plate with the ZL button hovering above it with an eyeball on it. Now, this might just be a way to view the map or view the rocket in the background or something like that. I don't know if it has anything to do with the actual goop or anything, but yeah, they didn't really show Little Fry or Small Fry really doing anything with the goop at all. We've seen it already in the reveal trailer though, so I guess they didn't have to show much. But let's talk about this world map real quick. In Splatoon 1 and 2, we had 5 total areas, and I think in this game it might also be 5 because I count 5 total islands that are connected with dotted lines. There's 3 on the left side and 2 on the top right. Now, there is another cluster of smaller islands towards the south, but I don't think that's actually a world because there's no connected bridge to it. Now, there are little islands as well that are connected that just might be extra stuff to go explore and look at, but I'm going about 5 worlds before we actually go to the whole rocket thing in the middle. Now, we get our missions kind of in the vein of O.R.C.A expansion here, and these are the only type of missions we really see. We know that there's going to be missions where we have to collect Zapfish and mini Zapfish, but all of these are just make your way to the end of the mission and do something with the pieces that are floating there in order to make some type of machine, which I'll get into in a second as well. But once again, just like the O.R.C.A expansion, you have the recommended weapon for that mission. You also have 2 other weapons that you can use in order to kind of make it a little bit difficult on yourself, and of course give yourself an extra challenge for more eggs as well. You also have a life counter, meaning when you run out of lives, you have failed the mission, and it's just like an O.R.C.A expansion, which is really good. People really loved O.R.C.A expansion, so this is a great way to make the whole single player based around that one portion of the game. Now, what's interesting is this mission kind of objective and information is coming to us from O.R.C.A, O.R.C.A, which is an acronym for something we just don't know yet, but obviously O.R.C.A referring to the orca whales. But the picture is of a dolphin for some reason. So yeah, I don't know what that means. Are the whales and dolphins helping us this time around? Are they actually technically the enemies? Is there something, you know, going on with whales and dolphins? Are we going to have a new breed of character to choose from between inklings, octolings, and dolphinlings or whalelings or something? I don't know. Just like the O.R.C.A expansion where you swiped your card and jumped into the level, this time you go through like a self-sanitation area in order to cleanse yourself off and make sure you're good to go, and then it shoots you through into the level. And just like we've expected from the campaigns so far, It's a floating obstacle course. Make your way to the end or complete some type of objective to win the level. The helmet and gear come back where you get to protect yourselves, and have an extra layer of defense. And of course, if you get shot, that breaks off, and just the same way the Splatoon 1 and 2 campaigns worked. And lots of the familiar faces, such as the enemies that you've came to love or hate, are back again, including this sniper Octarian right here. But you can throw a little buddy and they will slowly start beating the Octarians until they die, or sometimes they can just distract them so you can swoop around and hit them from the back, which is pretty cool. We see very similar to the Octo expansion, when you ink the thing at the end of the level, it turns into some type of machine. I really don't know what it is and what it's supposed to be right now. They don't really go into depth about what it is and what you're collecting. All they tell you is it's essential to the story. So clearly we need these pieces along with the Zapfish, and my, prior theory was that we needed to collect pieces of the spaceship in order to build it and use the Zapfish and mini Zapfish in order to power it. But it looks like the spaceship is already built for the most part. Who knows? Now when you complete the mission, it says mission complete with some type of thumbprint, which is very interesting. And that symbol of that A again, which we can see behind the dolphin symbol on the O.R.C.A kind of Comcast. So it's very interesting. I don't know who these people are, what this organization has to do with Callie and Marie and just the whole organization of the Squid Beak Splatoon, but yeah, it's very interesting. And then we get to see another screen showing us how we completed the mission and what mission we completed. At the bottom are some weird coordinates, and some at the top right as well. Once again, maybe referring to that rocket getting ready to blast off and whatever this organization is. It really reminds me like this O.R.C.A organization is kind of portraying themselves to be some type of NASA, where they're going to help us get to space and reach whatever we have to reach, which is very interesting. Also, we see the clear bonus with the eggs at the bottom, and also our time, because not only can we replay the levels and use different weapons on the different, difficulties as well, but we also get to try to speedrun the level, and there will be different times, I guess, you can beat, or ways to time yourself this time around, which I don't think the other two games had. So for speedrunners, there you go. Now we get to something interesting. Now, this was actually brought up as word of mouth during this. I heard them talk about is that Sunken Scrolls are in fact coming back, and they're going to add to the lore. There's going to be even more things that we get to collect throughout the levels, which obviously makes sense. It allows for exploration and allowing players to really dig deep in each level and look around for these things. And I always have fun finding them. There's always a couple levels where it takes me forever to find them because they're hidden so well, and I just love this. It adds to the replay value, and I think the replay value this time around is going to be as big as it's ever been. Not only do we get to go through each level multiple times with the different weapons and different styles of missions with its difficulty, but we also get to go through and try to speedrun them, and we get to go through and make sure that we've collected everything as well. There's a lot of reason to go back to these levels and play through the story mode over and over again this time. Now, not only do we get to see the new Splatana weapon in action, but we get to see the brand new one that was shown off in pictures, being the Splatana Stamper, which is a more powerful, strong swinging one, which has two different ways to swing it. You can swing it horizontal for some, up-close melee attacks, really, and then one giant vertical one, which you can actually devastate people up close. There's even like a little dash forward move that you can do with it, which is really cool. As you can see, it even strong enough to go through the shield of the Octarian here and just completely devastate them. I can't wait to actually see this in multiplayer, because that's really what's going to be the big draw for me. But already in single player, it looks like a threat to be reckoned with, and I can't wait to, obviously get this in my hands and see exactly how good it is, and whether it's better than the smaller, quicker one with the wiper version compared to the Stamper. Now, one thing that's very interesting is we keep seeing this level up bar or something to the right throughout the entirety of the gameplay from the treehouse. I mean, literally in the hub world, within a level, outside of the level, you always see this upgrade thing. We actually get to see on the screen it says +1 upgrade point with this little symbol of the Inkling and some type of X behind it. I'm not sure what this is. Maybe this has something to do with the actual single player itself, or I don't know if this carries over to your Inkling stats as a total. Like maybe this is just like a level up system, for your Inkling, or maybe it's just, a level up system for the single player only, and maybe it's a way, you level up your weapons this time around, your gear and stuff. But yeah, maybe you gotta trade in these emblems for different gear and different weapons, but it's very interesting. You get this from either collecting power eggs or defeating enemies and stuff, and you'll see the level, the bar itself start to increase slowly over the time you play. They didn't really bring this up at all, but it's definitely there, and you'll probably see it even more when I show you the rest of the footage. It just keeps popping up randomly. Now we see some Octolings pull up and try to to hurt the Inkling, and it looks just as difficult as it's always been back in the day trying to defeat all these guys, and they are definitely trying to take out the Inkling. You can see it gets very hectic here, but it's just really weird still to see the Octolings, you know, fighting now that we get to actually choose them. It's like us fighting against, you know, corrupted Inklings. It's just weird. Now we get to see the Tri-Stringer used as the final section of this treehouse, at least for the single player campaign. And there's various, like, many ways to shoot this thing. You could do a light tap, which just shoots not even projectiles, but little squirts of paint. There's a medium hold, which shoots 3 projectiles that are spaced out and they pop. And then there's a super long hold, which actually clusters those projectiles together and, you know, one giant pop all in the middle, which is very interesting. And of course, if you jump, all of this goes in a vertical shot. So there's a lot of stuff to keep in mind when using this thing. We get to see a mission that definitely reminds me of a rail grinding mission from the Octo expansion that was extremely hard. I don't know the name of it right now, but I know you guys know what I'm talking about because I think it was like one infamous mission that the whole community was having problems with. I remember it was a very difficult mission and was super satisfying when I did complete it. But this one looks like it's pretty difficult as well. The treehouse member actually wasn't able to complete it after 4 tries during the stream, but you have to shoot these boxes as you are grinding on this rail, which seems pretty easy, but then you'll come into lots of sections where there are a lot of boxes to shoot, and you have to have, you know, projectiles exploding in the proximity in order to blow up multiple boxes, and if you miss a box, you don't get the next guardrail and you will die. This looks super hectic, and this just shows that there are going to still be very, very challenging levels for us to complete, and you know, once again, you don't have to use this weapon. If you just want to complete this weapon and move on, you can definitely do that. There is definitely other weapons. I think there was a Gatling gun, or technically a Splatling gun, as one of the other options, which would make this a lot easier. But yeah, using this weapon, you know, you can even see the stage does, you know, kind of change a little bit in design for this bow in particular. You can see, like, you know, they put power eggs where you need to aim your shot at and stuff. So it does help you out, but, you know, hitting your shots, it's definitely all up to you to make sure that you do so in the right way. This is going to be very challenging, but it makes me excited to see the challenge is coming back to Splatoon single player campaign. That's about it from what we've seen so far. I'm sure there's still a lot of other stuff that you guys have found, and I'm sure you guys are going to let me know in the comments down below of stuff that I missed and little hidden details in the background and within the world. But definitely let me know if you found anything. I would love to talk about it and cover it and even mention you if it's something super interesting. But if you like this video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Splatoon 3 and Nintendo in general. And like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.